And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience, and I've continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you on today's episode of the FV Show. We are going to continue our Week 2 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 2 game, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the San Francisco 49ers versus the New York Jets. So if you are excited about this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below, like an open receiver downfield, and also smash that subscribe button, power running back style, so that you never miss a video from me. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. I'm going to have to change that graphic because RIP TikTok, but the interactions that I've been having on Twitter and Instagram have been a whole lot of fun, answering some trade offers, some start-sit questions, and everything fantasy football over there. So those are the places you can reach me at. If you're new around here, you will see how we do highlights, and if you are already subscribed, well, you already know. So let's just dive right in, shall we? The San Francisco 49ers taking on the New York Jets. First play of the game, Raheem Mostert, a little toss play, and he's going to bounce to the outside and take it all the way for an 80-yard touchdown on the first play of the game. Unfortunately, this was the highlight of Raheem Mostert because he did end up leaving this game with a knee injury. More on that in just a little bit. Later on in the second, 10 minutes left, Jimmy G drops back, 18-yard touchdown to Jordan Reed. Who needs George Kittle when you have Rule 86? Shout out to FF Hitman. This is just one of those things where Jordan Reed has always been productive when he's been on the field, and he's going to be even more productive right here where he finds his way into the end zone for the second time in the second quarter. So if there is no George Kittle for maybe the foreseeable future with that knee sprain, Jordan Reed may be a must-add player to the waiver wire. Now, in the third quarter, Jerrick McKinnon, it was 3rd and 31. It doesn't matter for him. 55-yard gain, an absolute monster run. And I thought McKinnon played really well in the absence of Mostert. Later on, fourth quarter, McKinnon bounces to the outside and dives his way into the end zone. This game was all 49ers, pretty much start to finish. Now, finally, garbage time, because we like to show everything fantasy relevant. Sam Darnold breaks one tackle, gets outside the pocket, and fires a strike to Braxton Berrios running towards the end zone for a touchdown, but it was little too late. Niners win 31-13. So let's talk about some stats, the box scores, some injuries as well. Jimmy Garoppolo was 14 of 16 for 131 and 2 touchdowns. He ended up leaving the game as well, diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. He played through the majority of the injury, honestly, but he just progressively continued to limp more and more, so they pulled him in favor of Nick Mullins. Raheem Mostert, 8 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Like I mentioned, he also left the game with the knee injury. It's being called an MCL sprain. We'll see how long that's going to put him off the field. It's rumored to be about a few weeks or so. And it sucks for Mostert because he was finally just getting his opportunity to shine. And now, unfortunately, an injury comes through and takes that away from him. But however, on the other side, Jerrick McKinnon, someone who has battled injuries throughout the past 3 seasons, finally gets his way back onto the field, and he plays really well in Mostert's absence. That 55-yard run was really nice. 3 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. But of course, it wouldn't be the Kyle Shanahan offense without Tevin Coleman, right? Coleman, 14 carries, 12 yards, 2 receptions for 28. I have a whole thing about Tevin Coleman that I'll talk about in just a little bit, but I am not happy with Kyle Shanahan. As far as the New York Jets, this was a game that we knew was going to be ugly for them. No Le'Veon Bell, placed on IR. Just everything was going against them. No Bell. Jamison Crowder was ruled out with a hamstring injury. Brashad Perryman left this game early with a knee injury. I don't have any updates on that. And so it was Frank Gore and nobody. Truly nobody. Frank Gore, 21 carries, 63 yards. He's the oldest player in NFL history to have 20 carries in a game. Braxton Berrios, six receptions, 8 targets, 59 yards, and a touchdown. And Chris Hogan, 6 receptions, 8 targets, and 75 yards. Hogan also left this game for a little bit as well, battling a rib injury. He was able to come back, and x-rays came back negative on him, so he should be good to go. But the New York Jets are absolutely depleted. And a player that I didn't even mention in this box score was Chris Herndon, who had a perfect opportunity in this game because of how depleted the Jets' offense was. They had no weapons. It was Chris Herndon and nobody else. And Chris Herndon only had 4 targets, hauled in one of them for 5 yards. It was an absolute disaster of a game for him. A game where he really should have had the opportunity to have 10 targets, haul in 6 catches, and honestly probably have 110 yards receiving. So let's switch over back to full screen now. The issue that I have right now, my biggest thing is I feel so bad for Sam Darnold. I've talked about this before, but I really want to reiterate it, right? The Jets are going to have to make a decision really, really soon about what to do with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has been a guy who has shown glimpses that he can be a very, very good NFL quarterback. But unfortunately, the cast and the talent around him hasn't been up to the level that other quarterbacks in his same draft class have had, right? So right now, they're going to have to make that decision of, are we going to extend him? Are we going to pick up his 5th-year option because he was the first-round draft pick? Do we believe in Sam Darnold? That has to become the question now. But how can you believe in a guy where you haven't done anything necessarily to help him? Like Brashad Perriman? That is your solution for your young quarterback? No. Obviously, they tried to correct that with Denzel Mims, who's currently battling a hamstring injury. But just looking at this cast of weapons, right? Le'Veon Bell, fine. I totally get that one. Check mark there, right? But Frank Gore, really? That's your solution? Here is Frank Gore. Chris Herndon was in the doghouse all last season for some inexplicable reason. Braxton Berrios, a guy who admittedly did have some training camp buzz, so I did know who he was coming into this game. That didn't really shock me. But still, no one knows who Braxton Berrios is outside of people who are diehard NFL fans or just fans of the Jets. Chris Hogan, washed. 6 receptions, 8 targets, not bad, but last option, right? Hogan this offseason was running with the ones because of how injured this wide receiver core was. And then Chris Herndon, again, just 4 targets, 1 catch for 5 yards. Absolute garbage for the Jets. I feel so bad for Sam Darnold because I do think he is a very good NFL quarterback, or at least he could be, right? Another play that I want to bring up real quick on the Jets side, and this is more so a Le'Veon thing and a future of the Jets type thing, kind of just merged into one. LaMichael Pirine, rookie from Florida. The Jets spent their 4th-round draft pick on him. He was a guy who I was actually really high on coming out of college. I think I had him ranked as my 22nd overall rookie in this draft class. He battled a high ankle sprain all throughout training camp and even missed week 1 because of it. And in this game, I was hoping he'd get a little bit more run, but unfortunately he didn't. He actually had 3 carries for 17 yards. He was averaging over 5 yards a pop, which is nice. But the big thing here is, I guess, why would you give Frank Gore 21 carries? What are we doing? Adam Gase, what are we doing here? It is 2020, and Frank Gore averaged 3 yards a carry. 21 carries, 63 yards. That is absolute garbage, dude. So I'm really, really hoping that Michael Pirine can take advantage of the opportunity that hopefully he'll get next week as well, with Le'Veon being on IR until week 5, I think it is, right? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he'll be on IR until week 4. He can come back on week 5. So Pirine has a 2-week gap right now to really make a good impression in game. But now let's talk about the 49ers real quick. The big story here is Jimmy Garoppolo and also Raheem Mostert. Garoppolo with that high ankle sprain. Garoppolo played really well. This was a matchup where he absolutely could have and should have torched the Jets if it weren't for that injury. We'll see how long it takes for him to recover. I sounded like Shanahan wasn't too worried about it in the post-game press conference, so we'll see. Hopefully he's able to get back out there for week 3, and if not, maybe he just misses 1 game. Nick Mullins, is a player that they've used before. When Jimmy G went down with that ACL injury, Mullins was the guy who was starting for them. So I know that they have some confidence in him, even if I think they went 4-12 during his season. Mullins still showed flashes where he can be a competent NFL quarterback, and we'll see how that translates to the rest of the offense. But the big thing here is the 49ers got absolutely demolished, not only in this game, but all season long already, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain. Raheem Mostert, MCL sprain. Deebo Samuel, broken foot. Brandon Ayuk, hamstring injury. George Kittle, knee sprain. And then on the defensive side, especially this game, Solomon went out. Nick Bosa, torn ACL. D Ford was injured. They were just dropping like flies. And it's not even like these are ancillary guys dropping like flies. Like, no. This is literally like their core. Their entire core has been absolutely decimated. And I don't know what to make of any of it as far as fantasy goes. My initial instinct is you can start everybody right now against the 49ers, right? This was a vaunted defense coming into the season. I honestly think you can start everybody based upon how this is. Well, also Richard Sherman, as I'm talking about the defense, Richard Sherman is currently on IR with a hamstring injury as well. So they are this defense is absolutely depleted in ways that I don't think I've ever seen previously. And then going back to Mostert, that knee injury fucking sucks. He's a guy that I've loved for about 3 years now. And as he's finally getting his opportunity to really put his foot down in this backfield and cement himself as the guy, because this is now back-to-back weeks where he had great performances coming off of the incredible postseason magic that he had last year, he unfortunately does suffer that injury. Last time I checked, it looked like it was going to be about 2 to 3 weeks, so hopefully it is that 2-week injury. We'll see. It's an MCL sprain. There was some fear that it might be a little bit worse. Luckily, it is just that, and that's something that guys typically can tend to come back from. But it does suck because he was a guy, he was a gem. He was an absolute draft day gem getting him in that 5th, 6th round territory. So, and obviously the Niners offense revolves around the run game, so that doesn't help as well. Jerrick McKinnon, I do just want to once again applaud him real quick. Battling injuries for 3 straight years, the Niners kept him on the roster because they believed in him. And as he's now been on the field for back-to-back weeks, he's put up great numbers for you for fantasy purposes. Jerrick McKinnon, for me, for the foreseeable future, is a guy that you should be starting at your flex position going forward, especially how depleted this offense is now as well. Tevin Coleman, Tevin Coleman is not a good football player. I'll say it. This was my argument for not drafting Coleman to begin with, right? This is a team that loves to run the football. Does Tevin Coleman do anything that stands out? Because every time I watch him, he's just a guy. He is literally just a guy. But because he's buddy with Kyle Shanahan, Coleman's going to get the opportunity. Tevin Coleman is the 3rd best running back on this team, and I don't think it's close. So why the fuck is Tevin Coleman getting 14 carries? That is 6 more than Raheem Mostert. Admittedly, Mostert went down with injury. I get that. But 11 more than Jerrick McKinnon, who every time McKinnon touched the ball yesterday was electric with it. What are we doing? What are you doing, Shanahan? Please, for the love of God, tell me. I would love to know. I would love to get inside your brain, you offensive genius. Tell me what you see in Tevin Coleman. Please. Write a little book about it. Please. Can someone in the Bay Area please ask Shanahan what he sees in Tevin Coleman? Because I would love to know. All right. Shifting over now to the wide receiver core. Brandon Ayuk did absolutely nothing this game. Deebo Samuel is still on IR. Kendrick Bourne, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in anybody in this wide receiver core because blatantly they haven't done anything to warrant it. Brandon Ayuk, a rookie, coming off of a hamstring injury. Kendrick Bourne, you're really going to start Kendrick Bourne in your fantasy lineup? That's your best option that you have? No, you're not. Don't kid yourself. Mohamed Sanu signed this past week as well for them, just for some added insurance, and it looks like they're probably going to need him. And then last but not least, Jordan Reed just stepping in for the shoes of George Kittle. I mean, just chef kiss, right? I'm a big fan of Jordan Reed. Back when he was playing, back when he was playing consistently for Washington, he was a guy who I always targeted every single year in my drafts. And to see him kind of come back after taking, I think it was a year and a half off away from the game, 8 targets, 7 catches for 50 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This team, and Jimmy G specifically because it happened with him when Garoppolo was in the game, Jimmy G loves to throw the tight end. He just does. George Kittle has trained him to do such a thing. And while Jordan Reed no longer is a George Kittle, I just love how they're just 2 guys who have been both very, very great at their position when they were on the field. So to see Jordan Reed get it done in 2020 was pretty cool to see. I think that's going to do it for this game recap. One final note: if Kittle misses again, you can probably start Jordan Reed. I would probably feel comfortable starting Jordan Reed if I have to next week. I don't even know who they play, but I'm probably comfortable doing it. I'll say that right now. All right, so that's going to do it for this game recap. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below for more fantasy football content. I'm trying to pump out videos left, right, and center over here, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Like I said, probably have to update that graphic relatively soon. But I think that's going to do it. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever. I will see you in the next video.